What's going on, guys? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, NBA DFS video. It's the last day of January. It is Sunday, January 31st, and we are back with a new look. So if you've been with us for a while, this is going to be a little bit different. I put this out on Reddit yesterday, and it was a hit, so I thought I'd do a video, see if you guys like it. If you do, hit that thumbs up button. If it helps you, please let me know, and we can move forward with this. But I want to go through our matchup tool. So like I said, our matchup tool has been live for a few days now. I brought it back a little bit earlier. I said I'd bring it back about the 1st of February, but you know, we have enough games under the hood that we can feel more confident about. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over our matchup tool. We're going to go over the top 5 plays at each position according to the matchup tool. Now, obviously, a lot of things could happen. We still don't have the starting lineups out. We do not have, depending on what site you're on, either FanDuel or DraftKings, the dual position eligibility. Some of these plays might not work because you can't use them at the position, and then you have to go through the matchup tool and see, you know, if, you know, Anthony Edwards makes a good, for instance, makes a good power forward spot, because that's what he is on FanDuel. Let's see real quick. So Anthony Edwards is a shooting guard over on FanDuel, and shooting guard, small forward there. But then if you look at the lineups, now obviously these are not confirmed because it is early in the day. But so you can see, like I said, you know, shooting guard, and then he isn't even that on DraftKings. I mean, he's a small forward. But then if you go down and you look at projected, he's projected to expected to start at power forward. So that's the thing. That's where you kind of gotta, you know, make some decisions on your own. But we're definitely gonna help you out. We're gonna go through that. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe if not. If this video gets 30 likes before the main slate kicks off, we'll send out a FanDuel and DraftKings GPP lineup. Also, if you guys do want to sign up FTA Plus, you can. We've added the DFS Monthly plus Sports Betting Monthly. We've had a lot of success. I'm going to tweet out a sports betting the last 8 days, what we've done. So definitely go check that out. Twitter @advisors_team. But if you do the month pass and you use the promo code Super Bowl, all one word, all capital letters, you're going to get 40% off. So definitely check that out. We've a lot of great information has come out. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about some other things after we go over these plays. So if you have questions, get the conversation going. And so, yeah. So just looking at the Vegas odds real quick. There is only 4 games on the main slate, but this is what we've got going on for the full day, which you can find out. You might not be able to see it, so let's get you in here. So the games here, Clippers at the Knicks. Clippers open up as an 8-point favorite early for 212 over-under. The Jazz open up against or at the Nuggets. Nuggets are opening as 1.5-point favorite, 220.5 over-under. Then we've got the Nets heading to Washington. Nets are a 9-point favorite on the road. 244 over under. Right now, James Harden is questionable, so definitely monitor that situation. The second game on the main slate that we will cover, Magic at the Raptors. Raptors open up at 5.5-point favorite, 221.5 over under. 76ers at the Pacers. 76ers opening up as a 2-point favorite on the road at 223.5 over under. And then the Cavs open up as a 3.5-point favorite at Minnesota, 219 over under there. So that being said, that brings us to our matchup tool. Now, the matchup tool, you can find the link down below. Check that out. Click the link down below there. You can find today's article with some of our projections as well. But our matchup tool. So what we've done is you can come here. You can pretty much filter it how you want. But this is how we're going to go. So just kind of looking... and this might be a little bit longer video than what you're used to, but we're going to cover a lot of things. So looking at the Raptors, they give up an average of 60.2 fantasy points per game to the point guard position. So that takes us over to Orlando. So depending on what you want to do, we can go over here. We can search the point guard, Orlando. Who's going to start? So that would look at Cole Anthony here. So then we can go to the lineups, just kind of see Cole Anthony projected to be the starter there. So let's see if he is positioned over here on. So Cole Anthony, just straightforward point guard on both sides. So looking at this, his price is 5,200, which I like. You look at the game logs, he's averaging at least 30 minutes over his last 5 games. He didn't have the best of game, his last game, 30 minutes playing against the Clippers, 14.6 fantasy points. But kind of looking at his logs, looking at what you can hopefully expect. Playing Toronto, has he played them at all this season? Does not appear that he has. So he would jump out at you. Now, just because these are the top plays per the matchup tool doesn't mean they're going to be the top play, like the only plays you should use. I want to preface that. The way to do it is check out our matchup tool, our optimal lineups. We've got the season stats as well. You can definitely check this out. These are updated every night or every morning after the game. And this should have every player that's touched the ball or on a team in the 20 games so far in 2020-2021 season. So definitely check that out. All of these are under NBA. The odds, the season stats, and the matchup tool are all free tools. The cheat sheets and lineups are the premium content. So looking at the matchup tool, Cole Anthony, number 1. Then we look, the Timberwolves give up 57.4 points per game to the point guard. Looking at Cleveland here. So you can look at Cleveland, kind of who do we expect them to start? Darius Garland, possibly. So looking at Garland, we've got him 5,200, so pretty much the same price. But he's got a fantastic matchup here. Looking at this, his game log, playing about 30 minutes, anywhere between 25 to 30 minutes his last 3 games. If he does start against the Knicks 2 nights ago, 31.1 fantasy points there, 25.4, 18.9. So this is a 4-game slate, so I would definitely play this slate as a GPP only. But something we're going to do today is we're going to have an early only and main slate. We're going to have 2 lineups for FanDuel and 2 lineups for DraftKings. They will be GPP lineups, but you can kind of see. So he's playing the Timberwolves. Has he played them this season? If you go down the list, no, he has not. But like I said, they are giving up 57.4 fantasy points. So looking at that, Darius Garland here at 31.1 his last game, 25.4, 18.9. I really do like him here. Then just kind of seeing, he's their option for point guard. So that's a really good one there. So you can build your lineup there. This is the $555 entry fee. I'm not going to build a full lineup, but definitely going to show you some of the plays that we're looking at. So just kind of looking at that. That brings us there. So our next one is the Nuggets. They give up, that's early only, so we're not going to be able to play that. Then the Clippers at the Knicks. You can kind of look there. That is early as well. So then we've got Philly. They give up an average of 49.2 fantasy points to the point guard. Looking at that, that's Indiana. So come to Indiana, point guard. Come to this game. Malcolm Brogdon jumps out at me. So Malcolm Brogdon, he's up there in price. 8,400 on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, let's see what he is. 8,300. So he's pretty much even on par together. So looking at this, coming off 38.8 fantasy points, 43.4, 57.9 his last 3 games. He's had success. So facing the 76ers, has he faced them this year? Don't believe he has. So we're getting to the kind of the couple of games where they haven't faced each other. So he makes a great option here. Would hope he gets a little bit more. I would hope he gets more around the 43 to 45 range. But again, you're building these as GPP lineups for today. Get a little bit crazy. Get a little bit little bit crazy when you're building your point guards out today. So then the next one, the Wizards, giving up 48.5 fantasy points. As of right now, the highest over-under. Looking at Brooklyn, we're looking at Kyrie. Now, like I said, Kyrie in Brooklyn, James Harden is questionable. He is my favorite play on the slate, but he is questionable. Now, if Harden is out, that will obviously bump up Kyrie's pretty well. And you can see, I mean, he had his, I don't know, do you want to call it a mental break or whatever break he had for, a couple of weeks worth of games. I mean, he came back with 51.9. I mean, he's come back pretty damn strong. So looking at this, has he played Washington at all this year? He did. Back on January 3rd, went out for 58 fantasy points. So went off for 58 fantasy points in this game. Obviously, that was before they had Harden. Now they do. But Harden has really come a long ways, and he's given the assists, he's given the rebounds, he's putting the ball out there. I really like Kyrie in this one. Yes, he's expensive, but he is worth it, especially if this game hits the over-under. It's the highest one of 244. I absolutely love that one. So then we drop down here to the kind of just looking to see what we've got going on. So the Cavs are the next one to Minnesota for point guards. Who are we looking at point guard wise for Minnesota? It really depends who's going to start. It's kind of a toss up between Rubio and McLaughlin. If we do come over here to Minnesota, they even think D'Angelo Russell might start, but he's a game time decision. So then if you go to D'Angelo Russell, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because Russell's a shooting guard here. And so this is where, depending on if it's FanDuel or DraftKings, let's see. Russell's point guard or shooting guard there. So Russell, it just depends if he's going to playing against Cleveland. So it's either D'Angelo Russell, Rubio, or McLaughlin, depending on who's going to play. But the thing is his price. I mean, he's getting, past couple of games. I mean, he hasn't played much. He's getting anywhere between 20 to 25 minutes the past two games. I mean, his price here, super high up there, hasn't hit value. So if he is out, that would push me more towards Rubio and McLaughlin. So I'm looking at that. So Rubio here, and, he's very hit or miss. He's more of a GPP pick. 18 to 28 minutes, give or take his last four games. Hasn't done much with it. So then if I'm going away from Rubio, looking at McLaughlin here, now he would make a fantastic option here. If Russell does miss it, I like McLaughlin a little bit more than Rubio. Looking at this, though, he only played 4 minutes against Philly, 2.7 fantasy points. So this is very contingent on Russell being out. But if he is out, he makes a fantastic value. 3,900 on FanDuel. And then if we go over here, McLaughlin, he's 3,300 on DraftKings. Didn't do much there, but he's as cheap as he's been since January 18th. Or no, the 20th. So it's been about a week, 10 days or so that he's down here. This will obviously be very, very contingent on what we've got with D'Angelo Russell. So that's point guards. Just a little bit of thought process. Like I said, this might be a long video, so I'll try to hurry up. So looking at shooting guard. Come to the shooting guard. Come to our matchup tool here, which you can find down below. Sort it out. Wizards are giving up 56.3 fantasy points to the shooting guard position. Brooklyn, number one. Again, the highest over-under. I absolutely love this one. This one is why I love James Harden. Now, the problem is, don't know if he's going to play. Game time decision with a thigh. He is questionable. If he doesn't play, Bruce Brown would be in store for a massive game. So I don't really need to show you these numbers. They're crazy. Going up against Washington this year, he hasn't because he wasn't on the team. But, he's coming off back-to-back 55-plus fantasy points, 32 minutes. he's going to play. He's going to play if he can play. But the problem is it's a thigh. So If he is out, Bruce Brown here at 4,200. Absolutely love that. So this is some news you need to monitor. But luckily, we've got all day to monitor this. Bruce Brown, if he comes into here, I mean, if he can get those minutes in 24 minutes against OKC, 25.5 fantasy points. So against Washington at the beginning of the year, he didn't play. But he's going to get the minutes if Harden is out. So I absolutely love this. Looking at that, this would be a huge value play if Harden decides to sit it out for the night. So moving over to the matchup tool here, you've got the Magic giving up 54.3 fantasy points to the shooting guard. Brings us to Toronto. Come over here, look at Toronto. Brings us Van Vliet. So Van Vliet, a little bit expensive, 8,700 obviously. But if Harden is out and you want to, you can do Bruce Brown and Van Vliet. I mean, back-to-back 50-plus fantasy points here. Touched almost 57 there. So had success going against Orlando. Has he played them this year? He has not. So just kind of looking at that, he makes a fantastic option. You could put Van Vliet here. You could put Brown as well. I mean, just let's say Harden is out. Brown, there you go. I mean, you're still averaging almost 7,000 per position. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of value you can pick here. And don't necessarily, with GPPs, with 4 games like this, you don't need to use the entire salary. That's something that some people just don't understand. So Jazz are part of the early game. So then you got Indiana Pacers, you got Philly. So what Philly players at shooting guard do we like? Now, there are a ton. We don't know who's going to start. So according here, possibly who will start? Seth Curry. So kind of just looking at Curry, I mean, you've got Curry, Maxey, Korkmaz. They could do it there. Obviously, they're all very, very cheap, very low-priced guys. So if you just kind of look at Curry against Indiana today, he hasn't been very good lately, whereas, not getting any blocks, kind of some assists, some rebounds, barely. I mean, he's coming off 25 minutes against Minnesota, 12 points, 18.9. Those are not enough for his price. But if he can get, 20, he needs at least 25 minutes in this. But there are other options there. But if you are paying down, if you are one that makes multiple lineups, you're building those lineups out, definitely get him in there a little bit. Against Indiana this year at all, he hasn't played. So, since the 22nd, I mean, obviously playing, he's back. He's getting those minutes. He's just not getting very many points per dollar. He's not getting the value that we're looking at. The next one would be going to our matchup tool here, Brad Beal here. So Brooklyn giving up 50 fantasy points. Does bring us to Brad Beal. 11,000 though. I mean, that's kind of costly. I think you could get value out of 2 other plays to equal up to him. Against Atlanta, I mean, his last game, 30 minutes, 40.9. Against New Orleans, 40 minutes, 69.8 fantasy points. So we know he's good. It just depends if he's going to show up here. Against Brooklyn back on January 30th or 3rd, played 36 minutes, had 27 points, 53.5 fantasy points. So he's had success against them in the past. The over-under is really good there. But you can see pretty much you pay up $11,000 for him. I kind of like James Harden. If Harden is in, I like him. I mean, you save $300, it's not much. If Harden is out, I kind of like building value here with shooting guard instead of paying a high price for Beal. Then the fifth one here, going to the matchup tool, you got Cavs, or you got the Timberwolves here, giving up 48.9, brings us to Cleveland. Cleveland shooting guard, as you know, or might not know, should be Sexton. Should be the starter here. So Sexton, 7,100. Yeah, I mean, he's had success. He's been doing okay. Coming off not so good game against the Knicks. 23.7 fantasy points there in 34 minutes. That's not good. 34 minutes here, 43.5. I like that, specifically if he can get that with this price of 7,100. Could be in store for a good game. But it just really depends on how he does. Has he played Minnesota this year? He has not. So this would be another one of those matchups that he hasn't played against them this year anyway. He's been doing okay. Obviously against Brooklyn, 38 minutes, 63.5. But he's had those stinkers where he's played 16 minutes of 12.4. So this is one. I mean, you could pay down a little bit, but find the value where you can, especially on a 4-game main slate here. Moving to the small forward position, you've got 76ers giving up 43.4. So facing Indiana. So who are we looking at with Indiana here? Going to the small forward, looking at Indiana. Doug McDermott, if he's going to play. So I think it's going to be a toss-up between McDermott and Holiday. Who do they think Indiana will start? They think Holiday here. So just depending on what you want to do, who you're going to build it around. So McDermott is game time decision with a back injury. Let's see if there's any news. Not really seeing much news yet. Obviously, we are super early. But looking at this, only 17 minutes against Charlotte, 16.2. 28 minutes against Charlotte, 33 fantasy points. 17 minutes, 3.2. So he's been very, very up and down. Has he played Philly this year? He has not. So it's a back injury, so I don't want him to come out and start and then play 4 minutes. So if you want to go down, same price, Holidays here. Looking at that, I mean, 37 minutes, 38 minutes, 30 minutes. Problem, he only got 15.2 fantasy points in 37 minutes. Against the same team, 38 minutes, 32 fantasy points. So at 4,800, if he can get 30, we're hitting value there. So Holiday makes a great option. I like him there. Brings us to the next one. Wizards give up the second most at 42.1, tied with Minnesota. Wizards playing Brooklyn, small forward. We know who that is. That's your boy Kevin Durant. Problem, 10,600. So looking at him at 10,600 against the Wizards. Didn't play last game. That bumped up the value of both Kyrie and Harden. But his last game he did play, 42 minutes, 46 fantasy points, 37 minutes, 51. So I'm looking at that. Has he played Washington this year? He did back on January 3rd, played 37 minutes, 45.7. So the problem is his price. If he can't get us at least 60, I don't really like him just because of how expensive he is. So I would honestly save value there. I would look at Holiday as long as he's going to get the minutes. So looking at the matchup tool here, you got the Timberwolves. Like I said, they tie 42.1. Brings us to Cleveland. We can look at Cleveland here, small forward. Who is going to start at small forward? They are thinking it's going to be, it's down here. Isaac Okoro. But the problem is Isaac Okoro here, he is a shooting guard. On DraftKings, let's see what he is. So there you go. Like small forward, power forward, you could look at Okoro. Depending on if he's going to play. I mean, he's cheap. Depending on what site you're on, that could be very contingent as well. So Okoro makes a good option depending. So if you're looking also, you got Larry Nance, Chetty Osman as well because that's who's here on FanDuel. That's why, dual eligibility depends on what place you're on. But Larry Nance has him at 6,500. I mean, he hasn't done a lot since January 22nd. So that's kind of what scares me. I mean, he hasn't done much. Hasn't played Minneapolis this year or Minnesota this year. Larry Nance, kind of go away from him. Chetty Osman, 5,300. He's cheaper. It's true. But the minutes, very, 16 minutes last game, 26, 32. Very up and down. If I'm building GPP, Chetty Osman, I could build him. This is GPP, like I said, so that's something to look at. So then the next one, Cavaliers give up next, 40.7. That's Minnesota. Who's Minnesota going to be starting? They think Okogie. He is 3,600. So Malik Beasley or Okogie. If it is Okogie, how many minutes is he averaging? Got to check that out. 17-ish, give or take. So 7.2. He could be starting, so people will see that and maybe stick away from there. But Malik Beasley here, he is 6,800. If he doesn't start, though, and he still gets 30 minutes, I like that. 28, 34.5, 38.4. Like, he has been an option. So people are going to look at the starting lineups. They're going to see it might be a Koji. I would look at Malik Beasley. I realize the pricing is $6,800, but if you don't pay up for like Durant, you don't pay up for higher price guys, you can fit Beasley. So let's just throw him in there. Because like I said, we're averaging 7,000. So this isn't bad. I mean, this is a great start to a GPP lineup. So let's just move to power forward, because if I continue, this video is going to be super long. So power forward, the Nets are giving up 52 fantasy points. That brings us to Washington. The problem is, who's Washington going to start at power forward? Hachimura. What is he at? I mean, is he not on? Oh, I was going to say, he's a small forward here. But you could use that to your advantage, being cheaper. 24 minutes-ish, you know. I mean, he's not hitting, he hasn't hit 30 minutes since January 8th. I mean, he's not getting the points. But if you do want to look at other ones here, we look at other ones while building out power forward, Davis Bertans, you know, depending, I mean, he's 4,600 if he's going to get the minutes. Wagner, Bonga, who do they think? You know, it just depends on who the Wizards are going to throw out there. So just kind of looking at Bertans at power forward here. Game log, I mean, 25 minutes at 7.6 fantasy points. That's not good. I'm going to tell you right now. And then he didn't play for 3 games. Back in Phoenix, 24 minutes, 22, 27. You know, he's getting there. The points-wise, it just kind of scares me a little bit. Last time they played Brooklyn, 30 minutes, 22.2 fantasy points. That's still not enough on DraftKings. So kind of look away from Bertans. What's Mo Wagner doing? Is he getting minutes? He's only played 6 games. It really depends. So Wagner will be a minutes limit Friday against the Hawks. It's vague, but coach said, but not full minutes. So kind of just looking at, I mean, he played 10 minutes, 3.8 fantasy points. He's not really an option. So I would probably go away from Washington, even though they're number 1. So this is why listening to this, not just going with a matchup tool, but listening to these videos and the thought process behind it, that's the reason. So that brings us to Toronto. They're giving up 50.7, brings us to Orlando at power forward. So looking at power forward, Orlando, really just depending on who's going to start. We can kind of see who's expected to start. Aaron Gordon. Look at Aaron Gordon, 5,500. It's kind of crazy to see. I remember when he used to be like 9,000 a couple seasons back. 28 minutes, 26, 33. Not getting the best here, but he could be in store for a good game. That's what we're looking at. Has he played Toronto this year? He has not. I mean, 5,500 for Aaron Gordon, it's kind of crazy to see. But if he can get, 30 minutes, he could be in store for a good game. And you're paying down at 5,500. So that's a thought process there. Paying down at 5,500 for him. So, brings us to the Pacers. Giving it 45.4. That they're going up against Philly. Who does Philly think they're going to be at power forward? Starting, projected out. Power forward, Tobias Harris. So this is one I think he's not a power forward on here. Yeah. No, he is. He's a small forward. That sucks. But if you look over at DraftKings, look at Tobias Harris, small forward or power forward, got a great matchup. The problem, 7,200. Game log, though, I mean, 43.25, 38.75, 38.25. These are all fantastic numbers, projections out for his price. So this is another one you can really only play on DraftKings at the position that they give up a lot, but that's the difference between FanDuel and DraftKings. So then we come to the matchup tool. Cavaliers, 43.5. Looking at Minnesota. Minnesota, who's going to be your power forward at Minnesota? Really depends. That's the problem. That's what I don't like, because then you have to come here, go to the, who's going to be power forward. You don't know. Because then you come to their lineup, expected lineup, obviously. Expected at power forward to be Anthony Edwards. And it's like he isn't a good option there because Edwards over here, shooting guard. So good option. I mean, if you want to pay down and you want to hope that he does well, this is one where, he's supposed to start at power forward, but he's a shooting guard on DraftKings or on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's a shooting guard and small forward. So the pricing, obviously, then the value, then the positions kind of screw up when they're playing different. So that's the variance you've got with basketball. So he, shooting guard, if he is playing power forward, he's got a great matchup. The problem is you can't play him at power forward. So then we move. Let's just move to center. You can check the Reddit post, which I'll put the link down below as well. We've got the top 5 at each position and kind of who they are, where they're at. So moving to the center position, you got the Timberwolves giving up 55 fantasy points. Love that. So Cleveland, I mean, we know who the starting center is for Cleveland. We're ready. His name, you know it, Andre Drummond. I mean, he's 9,000. I'm actually surprised he's, not 10,000. Game log wise, he only played 23 minutes though, got 35 fantasy points. So that's great. I mean, he played 28 minutes here at 62. So if he could break the 30-minute playing time, he is in fantastic option. Love him here, especially at 9,000. He's going to get you the rebounds as well. He was one of our prop bets the other day for over 13.5 rebounds, and he got 14. So we've been doing pretty damn good with player props for our people that have signed up for sports betting package. So that's something we also offer. So just kind of throwing in Drummond. I'll just throw him in there. You're still averaging 65 there. So that brings us to Washington. Brooklyn gives up the second most, 48.8. The highest over-under, Washington. Who is going to be starting Washington is the question. Is it going to be Robin Lopez? Is it going to be Alex Len? You can kind of just see who is expected. Just because they're starting doesn't mean they're going to get a lot of minutes. So Robin Lopez, that's who they think. So Robin Lopez here, he's 4,700. I mean, 4,700 and 4,400. You can't really go wrong here. The problem is his last game he played 20 minutes, but he got ejected. So he does have a temper. We know that. He looks like, doesn't he look Sideshow Bob from Simpsons? 20 minutes, 6 points, 8.8, 22 minutes. Even when he doesn't get ejected, I mean, he's not hitting 30. I don't think he's hit 30 minutes all year. So he's 4,700. He's averaging 7.3 actual points. He's averaging 14.9 fantasy points per game. You could look at Alex Len here, 4,400. He played only 17 minutes, so it's pretty much the game. But look at this. I mean, 26.3, 26.8. I love Alex Len here for your GPP, your cheaper option. If he's outplaying Lopez, Lopez could start, but Lopez could start, play 5 minutes. Then Alex Len comes in, plays 30 minutes, dominates, especially with the 4,400 price tag. The over-under of 20, I think it's 244 right now. Love that. So Alex Len is a fantastic value option on this slate. Brings us to the Wizards. They give up, on the flip side of that, 48.6, just depending on what starter's going to be. Brooklyn brings us to DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan, 20 minutes, 27.6, 28.9. I mean, he's getting more than 1 point per minute. 4,900, I don't mind that. If he can get it, I would love to get 25 plus minutes out of him. But that's, can't always get what we want, whoever they throw in there. So DeAndre Jordan could make a fantastic option. Number 4 is Cleveland, Naz Reid. Now, this is very, very weird. Don't know if he's going to play. A game time decision with a wrist. It's considered questionable. He missed Friday due to the wrist. But, I mean, he's had success there. Naz Reid would make a good option. If he is out, Ed Davis could make an option. I mean, 3,900 cheap. He's played 15 games. He's played almost a lot of the games. Started last game when he was out, 22 minutes. Only 12.1 though. GPP-wise, I don't mind that, but, I mean, he's not hitting the value that we're looking for. He hasn't hit it since January 23rd. So that is something to look at. Facing Cleveland, has he played them at all this year? He hasn't. So Ed Davis could be contrarian GPP if Reid is out. but Reed is expensive. It just depends. So that's something to look forward to. And yeah, so that's just kind of the mindset of the matchup tool. We've had a lot of success. Our optimal lineups on FanDuel and DraftKings. The DraftKings have hit over, our optimal lineups have hit over 300, I think 4 nights straight. And on DraftKings, if you pick the correct game, 270 is pretty much where, the money line, depending on what contest selection you get. 270, 275 plus, most nights, unless it's a way high scoring night, that's going to hit. That's going to cash for you. FanDuel, it's very hit or miss. It's either 290 plus or 340. I mean, it's the variance in there night to night is there. It's a 4-game slate, main slate anyway, and you can build your lineups using that. But yeah, the matchup tool is a fantastic option for you guys. You can find that down below. We've got the article here with projections. Go check that out. Those projections are pulled from our cheat sheet. Our cheat sheet is there. Click there. That is all part of FTA Plus, like I said. So you can get a 5-day pass for $9.99. Then it auto renews for $34.99. Best option at the moment. Use the month pass. Use promo code Super Bowl. All one word, all capital letters, Super Bowl. You get 40% off for a month. That includes every sport we offer. So 1 month of PGA, NBA. With that month, you'll get our showdown lineups for NFL. And we've got MMA this weekend coming up on Saturday. You can do the year pass for $199. That's 1 year of access. That gives you the entire 2021 NFL season, which $199 pays way. I mean, just $34.99 times 12. If you don't want to do it, I can do it for you. That's $419.88. Get the year pass for $199. Do sports betting. If you only want sports betting, $25. If you want to combine month pass of DFS and sports betting, $60. Great value. Or DFS yearly plus sports betting, $299. That should say per year. Sorry, I just put this up. That should say per year. But looking at that, fantastic value. You won't find these values anywhere. So if you want to sign up, fantasyteamadvisor.com/plans. Check us out for 5 days or get the month pass. Get great value there. A lot of great information. Matchup tool there. Just a lot of great free tools you can check out daily. So I know this was a long video, but I wanted to break down this main slate. If you guys like this video, hit that like button because it obviously took me 38 minutes plus to make. If you have questions, comment down below. Check out our Discord channel. We go back and forth with each other, giving each other answers. People throw their lineups out there as well. So sign up FTA Plus or not. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video if you found it helpful. Good luck this week, guys. Check out Twitter. I'm going to show our sports betting. I'll do 8 days. I was going to do 7, but our weekly report, check that out. That'll be tweeted out as well. So that's what I've got, guys. Good luck today. And as always, bring them that bacon. Peace.